You didn't have to read me out like that.
Why are we spending on this card right now when it's basically maxed out?
Oh my God, you're like digging into me right now.
You're paying for the vacations because you're not paying your credit card often.
I saw that the other day, baby.
You want to build wealth? Don't ever use buy now, pay later again.
I needed to hear that. It's not fun at all. My name is Keira Lee. I am from Dallas, Texas. I am 27 years old.
What do you do for a living?
I work at a home health agency. I do orders management.
And how much you make a year doing that right now?
I make about $43,000 a year.
Are you salary based or hourly based?
I'm hourly.
$20 and some change?
22.
And working 40 hours a week?
Yes.
How long have you been doing that for?
I actually just started. So I started about 3 months ago.
What did you do prior to that?
So I was still at a home health agency, but I did medical records instead.
Have you always been in the kind of home health agency world, or what have you done for the last 6 or 7 years?
Something like that. I've been in the medical field, if you want to call it that. I stepped into the home health agency field about 3 years ago.
And what is that creative role or job, that side hustle you're currently working on?
So like I said before, I make music. I also do social media content creations, UGCs, and what else do I do? I think of right now at the top of my head.
What does your typically monthly income from that look like?
Monthly, I would say right now, on a good month, it's probably about $600.
$50,000 in terms of gross annual income between your full-time job and the side hustle would put you about $42,000 a year in net income. So about $3,500 a month. And kind of on a scale of 1 to 10, where'd you put yourself on your financial situation? 1 being atrocious, 10 being picture perfect. Where would you fall in line there?
I would say a 6.
Above average, you're putting yourself.
Yeah.
In your words, why would you put yourself at a 6?
The reason why I put myself at a 6 is because I'm really good at saving. I'm really good at budgeting. I just put myself at a 6 because I feel like I could use my money in places that make more sense. Not so much of spending money. I'm not a spender. I don't do that. I don't spend a lot of money, but I do spend enough to satisfy me. But I feel like that I could put that money into certain places that, could grow and make more money.
What are your future financial goals, if you have any?
Okay, so I want to be wealthy. I'm very into being creative. I'm in a creative space right now. So I like to do a lot of entertainment things. And so I want to be able to tap into that and be able to become wealthy off of it.
Put yourself at a 6. If you're at a 6, I like to see little if any debt. So let's talk about debt and assets then right now. What debts do we have?
Okay, I do have a car loan, but I'm almost done paying that off.
Awesome. What's the balance on that?
The balance on it is about $900.
Sweet. So you're close. What was the starting balance of it?
So I put $4,000 down on my car, and I think it was about $10,000 in total. This is just estimates. About $10,000 in total. And I put $4,000 down, and I had to pay down the 6.
Awesome. Should be done in the next couple months then, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what's your monthly payment on that?
It's $200.
Sweet. So an extra $200 a month back in your pocket here in a few months then, which is exciting.
I know.
And what other debts do we have right now?
I have a student loan.
Okay. And what's the total balance on that?
It's about $35K.
Okay. And do you know what the interest rate on that is?
I don't know the interest rate on my student loan. I should know.
Have you started making payments on that again, or?
I haven't yet, no.
Did you know payments resumed a few months ago?
Oh, I put mine on deferment.
Payments were deferred, but they resumed back in October.
No, it's deferred. Mine's deferred.
For how long has it been deferred for?
Well, they did start back in October. You're right. You are right about that.
So what'd you do in October then?
I did pay. I deferment. I think my balance is $0. I don't have to pay anything right now.
Are you on an income-based repayment plan, or what are you on right now?
I believe I am on a payment plan, but since mine is on deferment, I don't have to pay right now. I told myself after I finish, I need to start now, just to start. But yeah.
So you, I guess, applied to defer your student loans, and they accepted that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to pay those back at some point.
I know.
Pushing it off into the future is not the... not always the best answer, because it's going to come and hit you at some point. And then what other debt do we have?
I have credit cards.
Credit cards? I thought you said you don't spend money.
There was a point in my life where I needed my credit card.
Okay. And how much do we have on credit cards right now?
I hit the credit balance. It was $2,000. So
how long has that been going on for?
It's been a while, actually. At first, I wasn't spending it on anything like that. I was just spending it with gas for gas money. And then I had a life situation and I had to use my credit card. But I think it was about 3 years, to be honest with you, that I've had that credit card.
Okay, so you've been carrying a balance for 3 years since you've gotten it?
Oh no, not the 2000. The 2000 just hit. We just hit 2000.
Okay. And what time frame have been carrying that balance then?
About a month. Like I just hit 2000.
Well, it looks like you've been carrying a balance on it for most of 2023 because you paid $546 in interest in 2023. So
I believe it.
you've been carrying over $1,000 worth of interest at least for the last year because you're getting charged about $50 a month in interest. So it sounds like you've been carrying the $2,000 balance for 12 months now.
Oh, no. The 2000 was not there for 12 months.
It's close because if your interest rate's 28% and you've paid $550 worth of interest.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so you've been carrying that balance close to $2,000. It might be plus or minus a little bit, but it hasn't been at zero for the last year.
Oh no, but we are paying the principal,
which isn't much. But we'll talk about that here in a second. Okay, so we've got some debt. Total debts we have about $37,800. What assets do we have right now?
Soon it will be my car, and I make music, so my assets are my music.
Okay, and what is the value of your car right now?
The value of my car, I actually looked it up the other day. I think it's like $4,000.
But what other assets do we have? Any retirement accounts?
Yes, I do have a retirement account.
Okay, and what's the balance in that right now?
$1,100.
$1,100. Is that a 401k, an IRA?
No, it was a teacher's retirement.
Teacher's retirement? Okay. And then bank account. What do we have in the bank account right now?
Right now, I took money out today. My bank account, I think, is $600 right now.
So that brings your total assets to $5,700, which majority of that being your car, which puts your net worth at negative $32,100.
Yeah, sounds all right.
So put yourself at a 6. Said that you're not a spender and you don't spend a lot of money and you're good at budgeting and saving, but I would first glance $600 in your bank account. That's not a good spot to be in when you have all this credit card debt. On that note, let's talk about your current budget then. So you sent this over to me. Net income, we said about $3,500, $3,500 depending on the side hustles there. You have your rent as $1,454. That sounds pretty expensive. Are you living by yourself? Do you have roommates right now?
I am living by myself.
So just based off of your day job, that's about 48% of your net income, which definitely squeezes your budget every single month if 48% of it is out the door towards rent before you can even look at it. You got home utilities and maintenance. You have $100 a month there. Auto, we have $225 for car insurance, $204 for the car payment, which hopefully is going away in a few months, which is exciting. The gas, $100. Groceries, $200, which puts your total necessities at $2,283. Then we've got eating out, $150, entertainment, $100, and shopping, $100, which puts your total phone money at $350. Total living expenses at $2,633. And then your monthly debt payments, just the credit card debt we have left, it's not accounted for, is $120. So that brings your total living expenses to about $2,753. Does that sound about where you kind of land every single month?
Yes.
If you were landing there, we're about to dive into it and see if that's where we're really landing. Because if you're really spending $2,700 a month, you should have $300 to $800 left over, which would mean we'd have more than $600 in our savings account and we'd have no credit card debt right now. So we're going to have to dive in and figure out, okay, Keira, where is this money going? Because if I had to guess, there's probably more money being spent than we think is being accounted for right now.
So the money is going to me. I'm investing in myself. I have to go to the studio when I make music. I have to buy a new phone in order for me to have great content. I have to buy these lights. I have to buy mics. I have to buy all of these different things in order for me to, grow in my creative aspect.
That's where the money's going, is on the business side hustle side is, hey, buying things for creating content for your music career then.
Yeah.
So 2 things with that. 1, I'm all for investing in yourself, building a side hustle, building a business. I'm not for doing it when we got credit card debt because that's just not beneficial to you at all. And that's just delaying any financial aspects. And guess what? I mean, a lot of businesses fail. A lot of businesses don't succeed. And if you just max out credit cards and you're living that, it's just going to hurt you in the long run. I mean, I've had businesses that have done well and I have businesses that have failed. And it's like, if you do that with credit cards, it just puts you very far behind and it's a very tough hole to get out. And then also, if you're doing that, hey, we need to make sure that we're putting that in your monthly budget. Hey, I'm going to allocate $300 a month. I'm going to allocate $500 a month or $200, whatever that your budget can comfortably afford. But you need to make sure that you are debt-free at that point to be investing a lot of money, that So we're not doing it on credit cards. We're not making sure we're still saving money so you have an emergency fund so you can start saving for retirement. And then, okay, great. What's left over out of that? Can we allocate $300 a month towards this career and this side hustle? Or, hey, should I go out and find another job? Or as that money comes in, like you're saying, live off the full-time income, which is $3,000, that extra $500 a month. Okay, great. Let's spend that money on the studio. Let's spend that money on getting a new phone. That allows you to make sure that you're checking all your boxes, covering all your expenses with the full-time job, and the side hustle. Hey, great. All of that is going straight back into itself, pay for itself, to hopefully drive more revenue, but you're not doing it in a place of debt or carrying loans. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so this credit card. We started the statement period on November 29th with $1,819 on it. We paid down $66, but then you spend $197 more on this card. So we had $46 in interest charged. So the balance ended at $1,996. Why are we spending on this card right now when it's basically maxed out? What was that $197 for?
What was that $197 for?
I can tell you, I got it in front of me.
What was it for?
You got a credit card that has a $2,000 balance that's maxed out and you're paying interest on every single month. You shouldn't be swiping that because that's just allowing you to spend money you don't have, which is getting your balance to increase every single month, which means it's going to be impossible to get out of this if you spend more money than you're paying down every single month. I mean, you spent $197 when you paid $66. That balance is just increasing month over month.
What was it? Now I'm curious. Now I need to know what it was.
We've got Quick Trip for $29. We got Walgreens for $12. We got Blaze Pizza for $16. We got Walmart for $48. We got 7-Eleven for $2. We got Fast Furious for $15. We got Dollar General for $9. Panera for $9. Savvy Sliders for $9. Quick Trip again for $32. And Chipotle for $12. We've got a lot of eating out. Obviously, you need gas to get from point A to point B. I'm not a fan of putting any expenses on a credit card when you're carrying credit card debt because it just, credit cards, people say, hey, play the rewards game. Hey, you should use a credit card to build your credit. But when you're doing it at the tune of carrying a balance, I mean, you've paid $546 of interest alone in 2023. And you will not earn $546 worth of rewards by using this credit card because that's how credit card companies make money. They don't make money on people that pay their balance off in full every single month and give them rewards. They make their money off of people paying 28.99% interest like yourself right now. And you're paying, for those people you see on Twitter or TikTok or Instagram that are traveling with their points, you're paying for their vacations because you're not paying your credit card off in full. So my first suggestion to you is cut this credit card up, don't use it, and you need to focus on paying this down and never spending on a credit card until you get your money in order, ducks in a row. You said it wasn't for the entirety of 2023, but I would beg to differ. We saw the statements because we have $550 worth of interest, which at 28% is basically $2,000, just under $2,000 balance every month for the last 12 months if you're paying $45, $46 a month in interest. So my first suggestion is if you want to build wealth like you said you are, you're not going to build wealth by paying 29% interest on a credit card. No matter what the investment is, no matter whether it's in yourself or it's in the stock market, there is no investment that is risk-free that you can earn 29%. If you continue just to make the minimum payments, which your minimum payment is $66, which you did last month, it is going to take you 9 years and $4,948 to pay off this $2,000 balance.
I saw that the other day.
I don't want to call you 8 years from now and say, Keira, where's this credit card? And you're saying, hey, don't worry, Bailey. I've been paying my minimum payments for the last 8 years. I only have $600 left.
Oh my God. I saw that the other day, Bailey. I saw that the other day. I was like, no, not 9 years. We got to cut it.
Gotta cut it up. Gotta stop using it. And guess what? If you are only using a debit card in these situations, I can promise you'll be more mindful before you go to Chipotle, before you go to Panera, before you go and spend money on food eating out. You're going to think, okay, I have food in my fridge, or I have food in my freezer, or food in my pantry. I'm going to go home and eat that versus go and spend $20, $30.
Right.
It's going to make you feel tight and pinched in your bank account, but it's also going to make you be a lot more realistic with how much money you have and how much money you can spend.
Yeah. You didn't have to read me out like that, baby. You read the whole list.
I'm here to help you. You told me at the beginning of this, you wanted to build wealth, you want to become a millionaire. And I can promise you, if you carry a $2,000 balance on a credit card for the rest of your life, it is going to be a lot more difficult to build habits that get you to that spot where you want to be. The next one, we're going to go into the debit card and the bank account. So how much money do you think you spend during the statement period?
I don't know.
Do you think it was the $2,600 that we estimated?
The $2,600, that's how much I spent?
Well, I'm saying, do you think that's the estimate you put on the budget sheet? Was about $2,600 every single month you spend?
Oh, no.
Up, down?
It's probably up.
What's your guess?
Does that include rent and everything too?
Includes rent, yes.
I think I spent about 3,100.
Well, according to your deposit summary of your account, for your checking account, you spent $4,353.18 was withdrawn from your account during this time period.
Really?
And I would assume there's probably some transfers in and out, it looks like, between accounts. I don't know what accounts for that or not. But either way, that is $1,000 and some change more than what you're expecting, which is not good. So budgeting, you said you budgeted at the beginning of this. How do you track your expenses or budget right now?
I list out all of the expenses that I have, how much they are. And then I make sure that I have the bill, like I make sure that the whatever company it is, they take it out at a certain time. So I have bills in the beginning of the month, and then I have some bills like in the middle of the month. I break up my bills like that. So I write down how much everything is, and then I also have cash. So I save in cash too. So I take money out and I keep it in the cash form. And then whenever I need it, I'll put it back in my bank account and then I'll spend it.
Okay, so budgeting is the single best way to start figuring out where's your money going. And I think finding a probably a simple but also more detailed way to do it will help you. There's a lot of different tools out there. I just started using one called Copilot, and basically you link your bank accounts, credit cards, investment accounts to it, and it will automatically categorize things for you. And it does a lot of the work for you, because if I sat here and tried to look through every single one of your transactions and categorize these, I'm not going to know how much money you spent on food, how much money you spent on entertainment, how much money you spent on these different things. It's just a very long, tedious process. So I like having it automated. On that, let's dive into some of these different transactions then. So I do see some of this is sent to Sky Entertainment, it looks like, which is your...
That's the business account.
Okay, so there was $450 sent to Sky Entertainment during this time period, which... if I was you, like I said, is that Sky Entertainment's making $600 a month, I'd be using that money to reinvest in the business. I would keep the personal stuff separate from that, because you have revenue coming in there. And I don't want you, especially while you are trying to get out of debt, my suggestion would be keep all that money separate. If you get $600 in there, that's what you have to build a business over there. But don't be pulling $450 a month out of this and start funding to that, because then that's just going to make it harder to get out of debt. Once you're out of debt, okay, great. What more money can we allocate towards that if that's something you want to do? But having it mixed back and forth while we have this debt can definitely get messy.
Okay.
I see a ATM withdrawal for $800 on November 24th. What is that for?
Probably for rent.
The rent? Okay, that's for rent.
Yeah. I have money. I take money out for cash. That's a better way for me to save too.
But then it's harder to track is the issue too. So that's why I like, if you're using a debit card, then hey, guess what? All those can be categorized online versus rent or paying cash. You got to manually input those into a budget to understand kind of where that money's going for category purposes. Obviously, if you withdraw $800, you know, spend $800, that money's gone. But you don't know, hey, I spent $100 of this on food, $100 of this on shopping.
Yeah, but I have a hard time leaving money in the bank account, because then it's easier to access, if that makes sense, because it's a card. I can just swipe it easy. That's just me.
It definitely is easier, especially when it's a credit card that, hey, I'm going to pay the minimum payments. It's definitely easy to swipe plastic versus paying cash. So the cash, some people do like the envelope method, if you ever heard of that, and they stuff their envelope week and say, hey, I have $300 for this for the month. I have $400 for this. And when that money's gone, it's gone. And that's definitely a route some people will have success with. It's difficult in today's age in some places that don't accept cash. So you've got to a restaurant and go, some places they might not accept cash, but the idea of it is pretty good. We got insurance on here. We've got, this has transferred to shares. Keira, is there another account?
Savings? My savings account.
Transferring your savings. Okay, so you transfer money back and forth with your savings as well.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of little transactions at 7-Eleven, Family Dollar, pizza for $7, 7-Eleven again for $8. We got Klarna for $184. What did we buy on Klarna for $184? Because that is another form of debt right there, Keira.
No.
You said you were a saver and a budget at the beginning of this. We got $184 on buy now, pay later.
Bailey, listen, I bought a couch. I just got a new apartment, so I needed a couch. So I'm paying off a couch. I'm done paying it off, though. We are no longer paying on the couch anymore.
It's paid off in full?
It's paid off in full.
What was the total price of this couch?
It was $670 something.
You want to build wealth? Don't ever use buy now, pay later again. Frankly, it is probably one of the best marketing tactics out there. Hey, you can buy this $100 item for $25 today and $25 2 weeks from now, whatever. It sounds phenomenal, but it puts you in a spot of borrowing money, getting into debt. Yes, it's interest-free, but if you miss a payment, you start racking up fees, you start racking up interest just like a credit card does, and that's just not a good spot to be in. And we can't change the past. The couch is paid off, which is great. But if I was in your shoes and hey, I need a new couch for my apartment, what are things on Facebook Marketplace you can look at? What are friends or family that might be selling couches? So those are some of the things you have to look at is what are some areas that you can find a gently used, clean couch on Facebook or on other groups or friends that might be getting rid of those. But Klarnaing a $600 couch for $184 payments is never the answer.
Okay, they're done though. They're done.
How many other Klarna Afterpay, buy now, pay later transactions am I going to see in here?
Okay, that was the only one. That was actually my first time doing Klarna.
And have
I've
we
never
done
done Klarna? That was my first time.
any other ones since?
I have one right now.
What is that for?
Oh my God, you're like digging into me right now. Okay, so it's for skincare.
How much?
It's $77 for 4 payments.
4 payments, 77 divided by 4, so like $20 each, or 77 each payment?
Each payment.
Keira, what are we going to do with you? See, this is the problem. You want to build wealth, but then we start...
Oh my God.
You're financing skincare right now.
Oh, I had to though. Let me tell you why I'm doing it. Hold on. There we go.
I had to use debt.
I did it because I am stepping into UGC and I have to have products, skincare products. Now, I will say that I do feel guilty about this one. I feel guilty about this purchase because I could have bought little instead of buying so much, if that makes sense.
That's part of the problem is, hey, buy now, pay later. It's only $77 each one. Why don't you add another 10 items to your cart versus buying the bare bones, spending $50 that you could paid for cash with your debit card and not have to use buy now, pay later. It allows you to spend more money than you need to because it sounds nice when it's not much money. So next suggestion, don't ever use buy now, pay later, Afterpay, Klarna, whatever. I don't care what it's for. I don't care if you have the money in your bank account. Don't do it because people get in the cycle of doing it and they add up payment after payment after payment and they're like, I don't know where my money's going. Guess what? You have 6 Afterpay payments for $50 each. And that's coming out of your bank account every 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're right.
Not a spot to be in. I want you to build wealth. I want you to save money. I want you to live so you don't have $227 in your checking account and $700 in your savings at the end of the statement period. You have $600 right now, so it's gone down even more. But I want you to live where you have a fully funded emergency fund. You can start saving and investing money. You have no debt. I don't want you to be living here paycheck to paycheck for the rest of your life at the mercies of credit card debt and Klarna and Afterpay stuff. So changes need to happen, which means stopping those. Acorns. I see 2 different transactions for Acorns. One is a transfer, Acorns investment transfer for $5, and then an Acorn subscription. Is that where your investment account's held, or what's that right there?
That's the only investment account that I have, and then I have that teacher's retirement. But I subscribe to Acorn so I can start putting extra change into the investment account.
Okay, and how much is in that Acorns account itself right now?
Last time I checked, it was $120, but I just bumped. They used to take out $5 every Monday. Now I bumped it up to $10 every month.
Okay, so investing. I'm a huge fan of Acorns, frankly. I use Acorns personally. It's how I've gotten some friends and other people involved in investing because it's really cool method of, hey, you plant these acorns and it grows into big, beautiful trees over time. But the issue right now is we have $2,000 worth of credit card debt that's accruing at 28% interest. And whether it's Acorns, whether it's use Betterment, Wealthfront, any of these other investing tools and platforms, is you're not going to outperform 28% interest on a credit card. And so basically, if the average return of the S&P 500, or I think Acorns typically says, hey, we measure like a 6% rate of return. If that average is 6% and your credit card debt's at 28%, you're basically just lighting 22% of your money on fire by putting it in here versus here. It's like the arbitrage doesn't work there. So on $1,000, 22% difference is $220 a year. And that's just not a spot you want to be in. So from my perspective, what I would do if I was you is, if we have an investment account with Acorns, $125, this isn't going to change your life getting rid of it. But I would personally be taking that and use that to start paying down the credit card debt. Because, like I said, you're not going to outperform credit card debt right now. And so I would rather be getting rid of the credit card debt. So then when you get that paid off, hey, and then you start saving money, hey, we can be using that towards more investments. Instead of putting $5 a week or $10, hey, we're putting $30, $50 a week. And they'll add up a lot quicker. So I'm never a fan of investing when we have this much debt. Whether it's credit card debt, definitely not investing. If it's car loans and student loans, it depends on the interest rate. It depends on the person's desire to pay off debt, as well as how good they are at holding on to money. Some people say, hey, I'll invest this money instead of paying down my car loan or my student loans, but then they go and spend the money. And so you're better off in those instances paying off the debt versus spending the money. But if you have really good discipline and you have a 1% or 2% or 0% car loan or house loan, whatever it is, yes, in theory, you could outperform that. It just depends on what your risk tolerance is and what you want to. But credit card debt, you're never going to outperform that. It's just so unlikely it's not worth the risk.
Right.
So I would personally stop that. And then once you get this debt paid off, hey, we can start pushing the throttle on investing versus right now putting in $10 a week. It's not going to make any difference in your investment account. It's not going to make any difference paying off this debt a lot. Or it's going to make a lot more of a difference paying off the debt faster. We've got, what else do we have in here? We've got Aldi, Circle K, Walmart. We've got, I think, another transaction to yourself. More Walmart twice in the same day. In two different locations, it looks like you're in two different Walmarts in the same day, or maybe the day after each other.
They probably didn't have something that I needed.
We've got Spectrum, so I'm assuming that's your Wi-Fi. T-Mobile, $97. Is there a financed phone in there?
There is.
Okay, so that's another thing on the docket for debt. It's probably a 0% phone bill, if I had to guess, because that's typically how most of the phone plans are. But it's still a $50 a month probably payment, or $40 a month that you're paying for the next 3 years on this phone.
Yeah.
And that probably also made you say, hey, I'm going to go get the whatever iPhone or Pro Max that has the best camera, best pixels, whatever, versus, hey, let's buy the nice version, but not the extreme. It's the silver, not the gold.
I actually, yes, but no. Yes, but no. I didn't go for the Max. I went for like the next.
It made you spend more money than you had.
That is so funny.
And then we got that good old Klarna payment again for $184.
I'm so happy I'm done with that. You don't understand.
I mean, I can only imagine $184 coming out twice a month is not fun.
It's not fun at all.
We got tacos. We got Jersey Mike's. We got Dairy Queen. We got Chipotle.
Chipotle, I love it.
Velvet Taco. Yeah, so I mean, eating out again these are the things that you have to decide on. What's more of a priority? Is getting out of debt, building wealth more a priority? Is enjoying that bowl from Chipotle or Dairy Queen, that Blizzard or whatnot, eating out more important? And yes, cooking in is not the most fun thing in the world, but being in debt also isn't either. So you have to make these choices in life. They're the hard choices. Is the hard choice cooking at home, using your groceries, and spending 50 cents on the dollar or 30 cents on the dollar for a low-cost home-cooked meal? Or is it, hey, I'm going to go eat Chipotle or Dairy Queen, and I'm going to not be able to have margin in my budget to pay off debt? Even if it's an extra $50 a month that you can throw towards debt versus towards the eating out, that goes a long way there.
It does. It really does. I think that's the one thing that I spend the most money on is eating out.
If you're doing it at the expense of your future self and your financial goals, it's not a good place to be in. And that could be the difference of paying off. I mean, even if it's $50 or $100 a month, if you do that for 12 months, that's $1,200. That goes and pays off a lot of debt. That makes movement on your student loans. It makes movement on your credit card debt. It makes movement on a lot of things. And it just helps you start building good habits that will last you for the rest of your life. And so, I mean, and then we got Ross for $25, and we've got Amazon for $20. So when it comes to, I think those are the only shopping ones besides Walmart I saw here in Walmart. I'm assuming there's groceries in there.
I guess you could say that, like toiletries. Yeah.
Okay, so again, with shopping is I would tell yourself, hey, what is your rule? Is it 24 hours? Is it 48 hours before you buy something online or go to a store? Do you really need it? Put yourself on that, because again, if you can cut out $100 from eating out and $100 from shopping and $100 from another area of your budget, entertainment that you put on here at $100, like where are those areas that you can kind of cut down so that you can make more progress on this debt? And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be as fun not being able to eat out as much, but it's also going to put yourself in a much better spot. I mean, right now, if your rent was $1,000 a month, if you had roommates and you're paying $900 or $1,000 a month, you'd have an extra $500 a month, really $400 a month to throw towards these things. But the issue is right now is your rent is taking up about 50% of your net income for your day job. That is putting you in a very tight spot. You have $1,500 a month left over after that. $200 that's going towards or 500 of that's going towards your car between the payment, insurance, and gas. So you can't change that. You need car insurance, you need gas, and you have to make your car payment. And then that means we have $1,000 left over on it. We've got food. We've got other things that you want to take care of, and we have debt payments as well. So your margins of leftover every single month is very slim with your rent being so high. So that's where you have to start thinking about food is a thing you can cut down. Shopping is a thing you can cut down. Taking money out of this account, $400, $500 a month, and putting it towards the business is something you can cut out because you can have that self-fund itself and run itself. And guess what? Take $500 from the business you work, spit out every single month, keep that in here, and don't have the car into payments. You don't have some of this eating out. $500, $600, $700 a month will just cut down this debt really quickly. And you can make a lot of progress really quickly while still growing your business because guess what? You got $600 a month to invest in that, to grow that, to still do that. I mean, UGC, you have a phone now, you have the makeup products, you have lights, so you don't need much more than that to create UGC content. I know how that world works. I live in it. And guess what? You don't need to buy more stuff on that. So guess what? Let's invest money in that. The music side is something I'm not as familiar with. I know it costs a lot of money to do studio time, to produce stuff, etc. But maybe that's like, okay, let's put investing hundreds of dollars a month in that on the side right now for 2 months, 3 months while we cut down this credit card debt. Or, hey, out of that $600 that you're investing on the UGC side, maybe that's all going towards studio time. And I'd be fine with that. Put that towards the studio, but then that leaves you $500 on the personal side to start paying off this debt really quick. What do you think about that?
It sounds smart.
Question is, are you going to do anything about it?
I am, actually. So this year, I told myself that I will be cooking more at home. That was last year. That was last year's stuff.
It's a new year, new me.
Yeah, I've been doing new things. So I have been eating inside a lot more, and I have been saving a lot more money off of that.
Saving more money? You have less money in your bank account right now than you did in the statement 2 months ago. So you're not saving money. You can't sit here and tell me you're saving more money when your bank account balance has gone down $300. You got $600 in there right now.
I do, because I just took out for rent. Rent is coming. It's almost the first.
You're not saving more money if your bank account balance is going down.
It's almost the first, baby.
Something's not math in there. But I want you to make change, and that's why the point of this, like, I want you to figure out what are some things you can do. And step one is creating a budget that you're cutting things down. I mean, the budget you sit over right now that has $200 for groceries, all your other stuff, $150 for eating out, $100 for entertainment, $100 for shopping. That puts you at $2,633 plus your monthly debt payment on your credit card is $66. So that brings your total monthly expenses to $2,700. I think looking at your pay stubs, they're really about $1,482 each, it looks like. $1,482, $1,435. So really you're in about $2,900 a month in net income and from your day job. So just over $2,900. So that means you're making $2,900 and some change, and you have $2,700 a month in expenses. You have $218 a month left over after accounting for all expenses, which is not a ton of room to really make drastic changes in your finances. What I'd be figuring out is how can you get that from your full-time job? I mean, $2,900, you should be making a little bit more if you're making $22 an hour. If you can get a full 40 hours a week of work, I would presume it should be a little bit higher, like 3,100. And so if you can squeeze out extra hours for that, that'd be great. But otherwise, it's got to be how can you cut costs? How can you cut costs on eating out? How can you cut costs on shopping? And get that to $400 a month that you have left over so that you can actually make progress on the debt. I can promise you have an extra $50 a month to pay towards this debt. It's going to be a long road ahead of you because you're going to put $50 a month towards the credit card debt, and it's just going to go down $50 every single month, and that's just not motivating. You want to see bigger strides, even if it's $200 a month extra, that you at least start seeing progress. But what I would do if I was in your shoes is figure out how can you get your budget from $2,700 a month down to $2,600 or $2,500. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be eating out, shopping, and entertainment are the main things that are going to be going, and those being trimmed to the bare bones. But if you have $400 a month left over after minimum payments on your car loan and credit card debt, what I would do is follow the debt snowball method. And are you familiar with what the debt snowball method is? So basically what you do is you line your debts up from smallest to largest. So you have 3 debts right now. You have the car loan, which is $800. You have the credit cards, about $2,000, and you have the student loans, $35,000. And so you'd be making the minimum payments on all of them, which student loans is a separate discussion because you're not making payments on that currently. But so we'll look at the car loan and the credit cards. So you have an extra $400 a month. You make the minimum payment on both, and the extra $400 is going to go directly towards the car loan because that's the smallest balance. So that $800 balance, you'll put the $200 minimum payment towards it. but then you'll throw an extra $400 at it, which should bring the principal balance down to at least $400, whatever your principal payment on that $200 is. Maybe it's $100, maybe it's $150. I don't know what your amortization schedule or your interest is on it, but it should knock it down, the principal directly down $400. So your car payment would be below $400 going into the next month, which means the following month you're going to pay it off in full because you pay $200 towards it plus whatever else on top of the balance that's remaining. And guess what? That car loan is gone forever. And then guess what? You have $200 more a month the following month to put towards the credit card debt. And then the following month, you got the $200 car payment will go towards the credit card debt. The $400 you were throwing at the car loan will go towards the credit card debt and the minimum payment you have. So they would be throwing $670 basically towards the credit card that following month, which would take that balance down drastically. So it'd take you down to $1,300 roughly. And the following month, same thing, another $670 towards it. Now it's down to $600 and some change. The following month, hey, might be able to pay it off in full. And guess what? That's 3, 4, maybe 5 months max that you're out of this debt right there. And now you have that $200 car payment back in your pocket. You have $400 extra a month plus a $66 credit card minimum payment. So that's $600 and some change back in your pocket every single month. That then you can figure out, okay, we got the student loans we got to figure out, and we also have investing and saving for the future that we have to figure out. And that allows you to start building margin. If you can save and pay off $600 a month in debt over the next 3 or 4 months, I can promise you when you get out of that debt, you're not going to spend all that money. You're going to figure out, okay, I worked hard to pay this off. How can I start keeping this money for me? Maybe it's we'll allocate $100 or $150 towards spending on something you enjoy, shopping, food, whatever it is. But the remaining $450 we start putting aside towards student loans and saving an emergency. And that's kind of how I think about it is you work hard, pay off this debt, and then you can start the fun side of things, which is saving and investing for the future.
Yeah.
And what do you think about that?
I needed to hear that.
See, and it's difficult, yes, because that means you're going to have to forego the Chipotle, you're going to have to forego the Dairy Queen, you're going to have to forego the Amazon purchases. But I can promise you 4 months from now, when you pay off the car loan, when you pay off the credit card debt, and you have all that money that's yours, you're going to feel a lot better. And guess what? The next time a paycheck comes around, your bank account balance isn't going to be $600. You're going to be able to save $400, $600, $700 a month for the next 4 or 5 months, build up an emergency fund, and then guess what? Then we can start saving and investing and start figuring out the student loans as well.
Right.
It all comes down to you. I can't sit here and force you to follow a budget I give you. I can't force you to not go out and eat, but I'm just trying to point to you, hey, these are options that you can go down. You go down the route of continue to carry this balance, continue to eat out, continue not make any changes. And I can promise you the same thing's going to continue to happen. A lot of people wait until I make more money, until my career takes off, until my side hustle takes off to make those changes, to budget, to start saving. But that's how lifestyle creep happens. People always wait for the promotion, for the pay raise. And then guess what? They get a $10,000 promotion or pay raise. 12 months from now, they look up and say, why am I not saving any more money? And it's because small incremental Klarna payments or credit card debt or vacations start just taking that money really quickly, and it's gone before you know it. And these are things they have to start doing now because I hope your career takes off. I hope your side social media company takes off. You start making 6 figures, whatever it is. But you have to instill these principles in yourself now because I can promise you can't handle living on $43,000 a year right now. It's going to be impossible to budget and know where your money's going when you're making $100,000. And that's why 9% of Americans making over $100,000 a year living paycheck to paycheck because they had bad financial habits when they were starting their career. They started making more money and those habits continued. Never made any changes. They don't know where their money's going.
Yeah.
That's what I want for you. You want to build wealth. You want to make money. And it comes down to having a plan, which is, hey, pay off debt, start saving money for an emergency fund, and then start investing. And that's where the fun kind of starts.
Okay.
And living below your means. I mean, living below your means is the key to building wealth. It's impossible to build wealth if you spend more money than we make. And currently right now, you're spending a lot more money than you're making because we have credit card debt and we haven't made any progress on the student loans. And that's not a spot I want you to be in for the rest of your life.
Yeah, right.
On the student loan part, that's something that you have it deferred right now. I would focus on the car loan and the credit cards first, get those paid off, and then start figuring out what does your payment plan look like for student loans. I don't want you to sit here for 20 years paying minimum payments on your student loans because I don't want you to wake up when you're 40 years old, when you're 45 years old and say, hey, I still have a $20,000 balance on my student loan. I saw a video recently. Someone said, hey, they've been paying on the student loans for 10 years and they've paid more than the balance on their loans over the course of the last 10 years. They haven't made any progress, because of interest and because you've only been paying minimum payment. Who knows if the government will forgive your student loans tomorrow or they will 20 years from now. But I can promise you that if you pay them off, you'll never have to worry about that. And there's no what ifs. There's no what ifs that they might forgive them. There's no what ifs. And you will feel a lot more free paying them off in the next 2 years than you will waiting till you're 20 in the hope and pray that they might get forgiven. And I would rather take control of my own life and decide the outcome of my finances and of my student loans.
Yeah.
But once we are out of debt, building an emergency fund is kind of the next thing, which is, hey, saving money for rainy days. It's not keeping money in your bank account so you can go shopping. It's not keeping money in your bank account so you can go buy a new couch, Klarna, whatever. It is an emergency fund for a rainy day when your brakes give out on your car or tire goes flat or something comes up or you get laid off in your job and you have 3 to 6 months of expenses so that you can live on the bare bones necessities and figure out how to save up more money for that or find a new job, whatever that outcome is. Stuff happens in everyone's life, whether it's jobs, whether it's animals or medical expenses, or you own a house and something breaks. Everyone has emergencies, unexpected expenses, and that's why an emergency fund is required, because otherwise you're going to put on a credit card that's just going to accrue interest and you're never going to pay it off. So that's the next key. Then once you've saved up an emergency fund, then investing is where the fund starts. And you said to me at the beginning of this, you want to become a millionaire. You want to become wealthy and start making money. And say you pay off this debt in the next year, next 5 months for car loan and credit card debt. And then we'll say another 2 years for the student loans. So you'd be about 29 years old, 30 years old at that time, correct? Okay, so you're 30 years old and we've paid off all the debt. So now we can have a lot more fun investing. Your income should be rising over the time period with the side hustles, as well as you might change jobs to another company that's paying you more money. We'll sit here and say you're going to contribute $500 a month towards an investment account like Acorns, Betterment, one of those types of things, Vanguard, whatever platform of you choosing for the next 37 years until you're 67 years old. So $500 a month for 37 years. Do you know how much money you'd have when you're 67 years old?
No, how much?
So you contribute $6,000 a year. That's $220,000 you contribute over 37 years, which is a lot of money.
Wow.
But you'd have $1.048 million in your investment account.
What?
And that is accounting for a 7% annual rate of return. And so the S&P 500, typically the last 20, 30-year average is 10 to 12%. I like using 7% because 10% minus 3% for inflation puts me at 7%. So I like to be more on that cautious side. Inflation could be 4%, inflation could be 5%, inflation could be 2%. I don't know, but I like to average 3%. And then so my average return that you typically use is 7%. Platforms like Acorns, like I said, I think uses 6%. Some platforms say 10%, but I like putting in a 7% conservative, kind of more on the conservative side. But you'd have over $1 million. That's when you're 67 years old, and that's only putting $500 a month away. So that's maxing out your Roth IRA basically, or close to it, every single year for the next 37 years. And that's not accounting for, hey, you start making more money, your side hustle turns from $600 to $2,000 a month, and you start saving half of that. That doesn't account for pay raises, any of that, 401k matches. So if you got that up to $1,000 a month for 37 years, you'd have over $2 million. And that is not a small number, but it all is because time is on your side. If you wait until you're 40 years old to start doing this and putting away $500, you'd have $478,000. So by waiting 10 more years, that is going to cost you over $500,000. So that is why it's very important. You're still young. You have time on your side to start investing. Once we're out of debt, like I said, once we get the credit card debt, car loans paid off, and I would personally be a proponent of getting the student loans paid off before I start investing so you can have more margin and more room in your budget for saving. But that's a lot of money that can be saved and invested over a long period of time. It's not a get rich quick scheme, but if you start making more money, if you start side hustle starts making more money, your career starts making more money, then guess what? There's a lot more money you can throw at this, and you can start building towards that path you want of being a millionaire and investing and saving for just generational wealth. So
right.
And a lot of people might say, hey, 37 years from now, $1 million isn't much money. And
that is true.
What I'd counter that is I'm accounting for 3% inflation in these formulas. So if we didn't want to account for inflation and I just put 10% as a return, you'd have $2.3 million. But I'm accounting for 3% inflation. So in today's dollars, it'd be roughly $1 million still. And guess what? Having $1 million today is a heck of a lot better than having no money today. And having $1 million 37 years from now is a heck of a lot better than, hey, I hope and pray Social Security is here, and I hope and pray that I'll get some money. A lot of people hate on $1 million 30 years from now is not much money, but it's a lot better than having no money.
Yeah, that is so true.
And it's counting for inflation with 3% right here. So again, inflation could be more, could be less, but it just shows the power of compound interest, shows the power of time on your side, and shows that if you start getting your finances in order now, it's going to pay off tenfold in your lifetime versus if you start waiting until you're 30, 40, 50 to start making these actions, it's going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of your lifetime.
Yeah.
That's why at the end of the day, it's up to you to make these decisions. It's up to you to start making change in your life. But you're smart. You have goals and aspirations of where you want to go. Now it's a matter of having a plan in place to do it. So having a budget, living below your means, cutting unnecessary expenses, start paying off debt, which is car loan first and foremost, then credit card, and then student loans, saving an emergency fund, and start saving and investing. And that's the order I would do it in.
Wow. Thank you for this. I think this was really, really definitely needed.
Awesome. Well, Keira, what is one thing you wish you knew about personal finance earlier in life?
What you're telling me. The snowball method, for sure. And interest rates. Thank you so much for this. This was definitely needed.